it through my fingertip the moment it broke out of the shell. A heartbeat later, it turned away from me and flew straight to my sister Islin and curled tamely into her arms. She held the dragon that she didn't mind and sobbed for the entire time. Was soft enough that only the two of us could hear. In my last life, I had flushed with anger at this line, arguing loudly that I would hatch the stronger dragon. The nobles had whispered that I was petty and unworthy of the crown. But this time, I only tightened my grip on the egg. We'll see about that. For a second, she froze. She had not expected me to be so calm. I held the dragon egg close. But inside, I went cold all the way through. In this life, I'd never again give my life just to earn my father's approval. After I returned to my old tower, I dismissed everything new. I placed the dragon egg on the table and stared at it. In my last life, this was the egg that hatched into the gold dragon. Before it broke open, it had answered my voice from within the shell. I drew a small knife and pressed the tip to my finger. Blood touched the contract, the hatching will begin. My hand hovered there for a long time. Images of Isolda's small face, the dragon in its darkness, the dress shirt flashed before my eyes. In the end, I lowered the knife, pushed the egg into an iron box, and locked it. By the time I reached the palace, the hall outside the throne room was already packed with nobles. Everyone was whispering excitedly about Isolde.
Who would have thought? Everyone assumed Princess Seraphina had the strong gift, but Princess Isolde is the one truly chosen by the dragons, a gold dragon. That is the symbol of royal power. The succession is practically settled.
Princess Seraphina has been hiding in that old tower, hasn't she? I heard her egg hasn't stood to. What a shame for the late queen.
I walked through the crowd and entered the hall. Isolde stood before the throne with a gold dragon in her arms. Golden light wrapped around her like a halo, making her look like a saint anointed by the dragons. One glance was enough to turn my blood cold. It wasn't the egg hidden in the tower, but the gold markings, the cracks forming in the shell. Even the heartbeat coming from inside it, everything matched the egg I had awakened with my own hands. A chill crept slowly up my spine. My egg was still in the hidden chamber beneath the tower. Martha had been guarding it without leaving her post. The windows were sealed. My own people watched the door. Not even a bird could get in. So maybe the problem was never that someone stole the physical egg. Perhaps something had been redirecting the results of my hatching to Isolde all. Isolde saw me and her eyes lit up. She adjusted her hold on the egg, holding it higher as if displaying a trophy. Sister, you came. She carried the gold egg toward me, smiling sweetly. Sis, I didn't think you'd show up. It must hurt, watching your little sister catch a gold dragon first. No matter how hard you try, the dragon always ends up mine. I did not smash the egg. I did not hurt the young life sleeping inside. The egg was not the one at fault. The people using it to trap me. At the northern edge of the palace grounds stood an old dragon nurse that had been sealed for years. My mother had told me of it when I was small, her voice soft as she spoke of the gold egg she had hidden there, a gift left for me when I came of age. Under the cover of night, I slipped past the sleeping guards and pushed open the rusted iron gate. Ash swirled up around my boots, thick with the scent of bird scales and old magic. At the very back of the roost, half buried in cold ash, I saw it. It was small, but the moment I drew close, it trembled. From that night on, I began hatching a dragon again. I snuck to the roost every midnight, sitting for hours with the egg pressed to my chest, whispering old dragon lullabies and quiet talking. Day by day, the shell grew brighter, the gold veins glowing like molten sunlight. On the 20th night, I pressed my ear against it and heard a faint heartbeat from within. It was alive. It was mine. Then, at dawn on the 21st day, the palace bells began to ring. Martha hurried into my chamber, her face pale. Your Highness, news has come from the palace. Princess Isolde's dragon egg has turned gold. The king has announced that she may hatch a gold dragon. The cup slipped from my hand and shattered on the floor. Impossible. The gold dragon egg was right here with me. How could Isolde's egg turn gold at the exact same moment my dragon awakened? Was this fate? Had I struggled so hard to change everything, only to walk right back into the same ending? I stared at the egg in her arms, my fingers going cold. My father sat on the throne, his satisfaction plain on his face.
Seraphina, bring out your egg too.
I looked up at him. He had spoken to me the same way in my last life. He had never given me a chance to explain. If Isolde shed a single tear, he could condemn me without hesitation. My egg has not hatched yet. Whispers burst through the hall. Isolde covered her mouth in exaggerated surprise, her eyes wide with false pity. How could that be? Sister, haven't you always worked the hardest? Are you saying you can't hatch a dragon at all? She shook her head softly as if grieving for me. Father, don't be angry with sister. I'm sure she tried her best. It's just, maybe the dragons don't favor her. My father's face darkened.
Useless.
He seized the goblet beside me and hurled it at her feet. It shattered against the floor, shards scraping my head and wine splashing over the tips of my shoes.
Valgoria needs someone who can win the dragon, not a failure who only knows how to look proud.
I said nothing. Not because I was afraid. Because I had finally realized this was deeper than I had thought. The egg had not been stolen. Isolde had not been lucky. Something had been delivering my results to her from the very beginning.
From this day forward, Seraphina will remain in the old tower. She will not leave unless summoned.
She will stay there until she hatches a dragon of her own.
The nobles' eyes changed when they looked at me. In my first life, they called me a thief. In this life, they called me a failure. There was not much difference. When I left the hall, Isolde followed me. She waved a hand to dismiss her maids, and the soft, innocent mask fell from her face the moment they were out of sight. Sister, the look on your face just now was beautiful. I stopped walking. You can't understand it, can you? You hid your egg so carefully. So, why do I have a gold egg too? The truth is, I don't even need to know what you did. The result will always be the same. She lifted a hand and patted my shoulder as if comforting a loser. You guard it. You feed it. You love it. But when it breaks out of its shell, it will still choose me. I grabbed her wrist. Pain flashed across her face, but she did not pull away. Instead, her smile widened. Angry? Then I must be right. She leaned in, her lips almost brushing my ear. Just like in your little incubation chamber. You thought you were raising a dragon for yourself? You were raising it for me all along. I released her, Isolde. You had better pray you can keep winning. She smoothed her sleeve, her eyes full of contempt. I will. Father loves me. The kingdom expects me. Even the dragons choose me. What do you have, sister? I watched her walk away, and my mind became clearer than it had been all day. She was wrong. There was one thing I had that she did not. And I knew there was a second dragon growing in the old roost, one she would never see coming. On the third day of my confinement, I began searching through my mother's belongings. At the top of the old tower was a small study. It had been locked for years. My father never came there. Isolde thought it too cold and dreary to set foot in. After my mother died, her books, letters, and some old royal records had been piled inside like dust the whole palace wanted to forget. I sat on the floor and went through them one by one. Most of the books about dragon eggs had yellowed with age. They did not record mysterious legends. They recorded rules. Dragon eggs need warmth. Dragon eggs need quiet. Dragon eggs remember the contract. My hand froze. The contract? I read on quickly. Before a royal dragon egg could be hatched, the hatcher had to sign a magical contract. The contract bore the hatcher's name. When the dragon broke from its shell, it would recognize the name on the contract as its master. Worse, the contract did more than decide ownership. The blood, warmth, force, and awakening power given by the hatcher all recorded to name the true contract. Then I saw a tiny She would have nothing left to steal. Alaric softened his voice, trying on the mask of a gentle father.
Seraphine, you have always been a proud child. One failure means nothing. The kingdom needs you to keep trying.
I almost laughed. In my first life, when History laid me in the dragon pit and condemned me to die, he had never once said the kingdom needed me. The kinder he pretended to be, the clearer the truth became. Isolde's golden dragon was nothing but a shadow of mine, and without me, it would die before it ever saw the sun. The answer was already in my hands. As long as that hidden name remained, every drop of blood I gave would become Isolde's claim. A small sound came from behind me. A soft rustle came from the archway behind me. I whirled, dagger drawn, and pressed to the intruder's throat before I saw her face. Martha stood in the doorway, pale as a ghost. Your Highness, it's me. I saw you leave the tower and followed. I was afraid you'd be caught. Slowly, I lowered the blade. She stepped inside, and when her eyes fell on the glowing contract in my hand, her lips trembled and tears spilled over at once. The Queen suspected something like this would happen. The year the eggs were moved to the vault, she said the contracts felt wrong. But she was already too ill. She died before she could prove it. I closed my eyes. The weight of my mother's unfinished protection settled over me, warm and sharp all at once. My mother had not failed to protect me. She had simply run out of time. Your Highness, what do we do now? We have proof. We can call the nobles at dawn. Show them the truth. We can clear your name and take everything back. I looked at the name on the page and suddenly laughed. No, Martha stared at me. They won't believe it. In my last life, I laid everything bare, and they still chose Isolette's tears. The nobles did not care about the truth, neither did the people. They believed the winner. Truth doesn't win here. Winners write the truth. So this time, I'd make the winner confess she was a fraud. I rolled the contract back up and put it where I found it. The Father loves changing names so much, and let that name stay there. Isolette likes stealing my dragons, and I'll let her steal mine. She stole my golden dragon, my crown, my life. This time, I will let her steal something else, something that will tear her lies apart from the inside out. The Royal Forbidden's vault lay beneath the dragon pit. There were no gilded pillars there, no golden flames to symbolize royal power. Only a cold, damp staircase leading down into darkness, the walls scarred with black burn marks. After the war, the royal family had sealed the most dangerous dragon eggs here. Not because they were noble, because no one dared to hatch them. My mother's notes mentioned one egg in particular. A black dragon egg. Black dragons were powerful, savage, and almost impossible to tame. They were not like gold dragons, which symbolized the throne. They were not like red dragons, which burned for war. Black dragons devoured falsehood in contract. They attacked those who deceived them. 3 kings had tried to bind black dragons to their will over 300 years. All had paid a terrible price. The first lost an entire hand to dragon fire. The second went mad on the day the dragon hatched. The third managed to make the dragon open its eyes, but when he declared himself its master, it was threatened. After that, the black dragon egg was likely to his heart for its death. In my first life, I died without ever knowing it existed. In this life, I opened the door. There was no light behind the iron door. I walked in with the torch and saw a jet black dragon egg resting silently on a stone platform. It was much larger than an ordinary egg. There were no markings on the shell. As I approached, the torch flame shrank and dimmed, as if the darkness itself was eating the light. The thing inside was awake. I know you're dangerous. The black egg did not respond. I also know you won't kneel tamely at anyone's feet. This time, the shell trembled lightly. Father, I'm tired. I accept that I am not as capable as yourself. Please allow me to leave the tower and move to the estate outside the city. I will never touch another dragon egg.
No.
This time, it was Isolde who spoke. She flinched as soon as she said it, realizing she'd emotionally broken her gentle little mask in front of the nobles. Sister, I didn't mean it that way. I only think you shouldn't give up so easily. You are my sister. I want you to prove yourself too. I turned to her fully, taking one slow step forward. She stumbled back half a step before she caught herself. What good would that do you? Isolde's face went pale. Don't you already have a gold dragon? Aren't you about to become the heir? Why are you afraid I'll stop hatching dragons? Several nobles in the hall exchanged puzzled looks. Isolde bit down hard on her lip, tears rolling down her cheeks. Sister, how can you think that of me? I'm only worried about you. In my last life, I'd have rushed to defend myself and ended up looking cruel beside her tears. This time, I only smiled. Then thank you for your concern. I bowed to my father again. Father, since Isolde has won, there is no reason for me to remain here. Alaric stared at me. For the first time, I saw panic in his eyes.
You must continue hatching dragon eggs.
Why? He stopped. The words died on his tongue. He could not say the quiet part out loud. I lowered my voice, just loud enough for the front rows of nobles to hear. Surely it isn't because Isolde needs me to hatch them for her. The sentence cut through the false calm of the hall. Isolde's face changed completely. Alex slammed his palm down on the arm of the throne so hard the goblets rattled.
How dare you!
I knelt slowly, my back straight. Forgive me, Father. It was only a joke. But the joke had already sunk its teeth in. No one in that hall would forget the question, or the panic on Isolde's face. After I left the hall, Isolde followed me. She grabbed my wrist, her nails digging hard into my sleeve through the fabric. Seraphina, what are you planning? I'm planning to give up. You're lying. You must have hidden another dragon egg somewhere. You think you can raise one in secret and take everything back? I pulled my wrist free, brushing off my sleeve as if I'd touched something dirty. Then take your time looking. Search every tower, every cellar, every corner of the palace. I won't stop you. Her chest fell with anger. She leaned in, her voice low and vicious. Don't think you can threaten me. Father will stand with me. The nobles will stand with me. As long as I say you stole something from me, they will throw you into the dragon pit. All over again. I know. My calm only stoked her panic. She had expected tears, rage, pleas, anything but this quiet certainty. That's why this time, I'll give you something you won't be able to resist stealing. Something you will beg to take from me. She did not follow again. The bait was already set, and I knew she would bite. I unfolded the crumpled copy of the altered contract I'd taken from the archive. On the surface, it said Seraphina. The name that truly took effect was Isolde. My father thought he had built a throne for Isolde. He did not realize the same forged contract he'd used to steal my dragon would also tie a ravenous noose tighter on her neck. I cut my finger and let my blood fall onto the contract. The name on the page flared. Isolde. On the stone platform, the black egg shook violently, so hard it rattled against the rock. A low, rumbling growl rolled out from within the shell. Deep and guttural, nothing like the soft, high chirp of a newborn gold dragon. Grow well. Soon enough, she will come to steal you. For the next 10 days and 10 nights, I did not step foot back in the old tower. I stayed in the damp, dark Forbidden's vault, curled up beside the black egg through every hour. I gave it warmth. I gave it blood. I gave gave it silence. It was nothing like the gold dragon I'd raised in my last life. The gold dragon had answered my whispers with tiny, soft taps from inside the shell, gentle as an unborn child reaching for its mother. The black dragon never sought comfort. It never tapped back, never leaned into my palm. It only grew hotter and heavier with each passing day, the shell burning like forged iron. More than once, I felt as if it was watching me. On the 11th day, the first crack appeared in the shell. Martha stood at the door, her face paler than the dust.
Your Highness, black dragons are untamable. Once it breaks free, people may truly die. Isolde may die.
And you still want to go through with this? There's no turning back once the shell breaks. I stared at the glowing crack on the black shell, and the memories of my last life flashed before my eyes. The iron gate of the dragon pit slamming shut. Isolde's slug, tear-streaked smile high above. My father's cold, unforgiving eyes. The roar of the crowd screaming thief as I fell. They never gave me a way back. Yes, I continue. If it truly recognizes Isolde as its master, will she die? I did not answer right away. Death would be too easy for her. First, the black dragon will tear away every last one of her lives. It will make every person in this kingdom see exactly what she stole. The dragon, the crown, and my life. On the night before the succession ceremony, Isolde came to the entrance of the forbidden vault herself. She could not enter. She could only look at me through the iron gate. Sister, I knew it. You've been hiding something this whole time. I picked up the black egg and carried it to the iron gate, holding it up so the firelight fell full across its glossy black shell. Her eyes lit up at once, bright with naked greed, all pretense of gentleness vanishing in the dark. A black dragon egg. The most powerful dragon in all of Valdoria. Stronger than any gold dragon. Isolde's heart bobbed hard as she swallowed. She could not look away from the egg. Tomorrow, at the ceremony in the square, you can stand in front of all the nobles and all the people and tell everyone that this egg belongs to you. As I turned away, I heard her whisper, "It will be mine. Everything will be mine." I smiled. Seraphina quietly to herself. Of course it will. On the day of the succession ceremony, the palace square was packed from end to end, the crowd buzzing with excitement. Nobles stood on both sides of the high platform. Commoners crowded behind the iron railings. Everyone wanted to see the gold dragon hatch and witness Isolde become the next queen. Isolde stood at the center of the high platform in a snow-white ceremonial gown. A delicate pearl crown perched on her golden hair. The gold dragon egg in her arms was crisscrossed with cracks, warm golden light seeping through every gap. And faint, soft chirps drifted out from within. King Alaric stood proudly at her side, his chest puffed out, every line of his face screaming satisfaction at the heir he had chosen. The sight burned into my eyes, sharp with the pain of old memories. In my last life, I had stood exactly where she was, holding that same glowing gold egg, believing my diligence had finally been rewarded. I had thought the world was fair, that the dragon would choose the one who raised it, but justice had always been a joke written by the winners. The real rules had been rewritten in secret, long before I ever stepped into that hall. The master of ceremonies lifted his staff, and his booming voice rolled across the square.
By the ancient laws of Valdoria, let both princesses present their dragon eggs before the people.
Isolde stepped forward first, her skirt trailing elegantly behind her. She set the gold dragon egg gently on the stone altar, and golden light burst forth, drawing a wave of awed murmurs from the nobles.
The true gold dragon. The next I'd seen in my lifetime.
The gold dragon is the very symbol of royal power. This is an omen. Princess Isolde truly is the chosen one. She is Valdoria's future.
Beneath the hum of admiration, I stepped out from the shadow of the archway, the black dragon egg held steady in my arms. In an instant, every sound vanished. The black egg did not glow with warm, brilliant light like the gold one. It drank in the light around it, heavy and oppressive, pressing down on every breath. Wherever it passed, the flames nearby bent low. A commoner in the front row breathed out the question.
What is that thing?
An elderly noble in the front row stood up abruptly, his hands shaking on the railing.
The black dragon egg! That's a black dragon egg!
Another noble leaned forward, his face pale with shock.
Impossible. Wasn't that sealed deep in the forbidden vault generations ago? How did she get it?
When Isolde saw the egg, all color drained from her face. Isolde drew a deep breath, lifting her chin and straightening her back, putting on all the dignity of a rightful heir.
Yes, it belongs to me. It was sealed away from the royal heir, and I am the heir.
I looked at her. And you are equally certain that when it breaks its shell, it will recognize you, and only you, as its master. Unease flickered in her eyes, but the thrill of victory quickly smothered it.
Of course it will. Dragons know their true master.
I stepped back slowly, putting distance between myself and the altar. Then go ahead. Prove it to everyone. Isolde had not expected me to yield so easily. She stared at me for a long time, as if searching for the trap. Every eye in the square was on her. Every noble, every commoner was waiting to see their future queen command her dragon. She had already declared the egg hers. If she hesitated now, all her lies would crumble. So she swore to fight against the cold black shell. In the name of Valdoria's future queen, I command you to break your shell and recognize your master. For one moment, the black egg was still. Then it cracked. A single razor-sharp black line split the shell clean from top to bottom, glowing with faint smoky light. The nobles closest to the altar stumbled back at once, their faces white.
Please step back. Black dragons are ferocious. You cannot stand so close and hatch.
Isolde forced a proud smile onto her face, but her fingers were trembling so hard against the shell she could barely keep them still.
Why should I? It is my dragon. It will not hurt its own master.
Before the crowd could finish whispering, Isolde suddenly stepped forward to the edge of the platform.
Sister, why do you keep doing this?
I stopped and looked at her. Tears filled her eyes right on cues.
Was stealing my gold dragon egg not enough? Now you've snuck into the forbidden vault to steal my black dragon egg too?
The square exploded into an uproar. Angry shouts and murmurs rolled over me like a wave. I heard the crowd call me greedy, shameless, a thief who would do anything for power. I heard them say I'd never change, that I'd always been jealous of my sister. I heard a woman's sharp voice yell that I was not worthy of being a princess, not worthy of the royal blood in my veins. On the throne, King Alaric rose slowly.
Seraphina, hand over the black dragon egg at once.
I did not move. On what grounds? His gaze cut through the noise.
Isolde said it belongs to her.
I laughed.
So that's the law of the palace now? If she says it is hers, then it is hers?
Isolde shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks.
I know you think me like my father, but you can't steal from me again and again just because you want the throne. The gold dragon chose me, and you refuse to accept it. Now you've gone and stolen the black dragon too. What else do you want from me? Do you want my life?
In my last life, I had lost everything to those tears. I'd shouted, I'd argued, I'd begged, and I'd still looked like a cruel bully beside her soft, weeping figure. But this life, it has no achievement of explaining myself. I would not beg. I would not yell. I stepped up onto the platform, walked to the altar, and set the black dragon egg down right beside the glowing gold one. Isolde, are you certain this black dragon egg belongs to you? In front of Father, in front of every noble, every citizen standing in the square, are you certain you want to swear before all of them that this is your dragon egg? Isolde's eyes darted to King Alaric, searching for reassurance. Alaric nodded, almost imperceptibly. I saw it. Good. Just like last time. They had chosen greed over truth. The moment the second cleft split open, the sky above the square darkened. It was not that clouds had rolled in to cover the sun. It was as if something inside the shell had reached up and swallowed all the light in the air. One torch after another bent low. Even the faint cries from the gold dragon egg suddenly stopped. Isolde's hands were still pressed tight to the black shell, but her knuckles had gone white. Her smile froze.
This is wrong. This is all wrong. The black dragon's hatching is thunder and fire. It should not be this quiet. This is unnatural.
The next second, with a sound like shattering obsidian, the entire shell burst apart. A young black dragon crawled out. It was not large, but the entire square fell into dead silence. Its wet black scales clung to its body, but its eyes were already cold. It did not cry softly like a gold dragon. It did not nuzzle anyone's hand. It only lifted its head and looked at Isolde. Isolde took a step back before she could stop herself. Come here. I am the master. The black dragon tilted its head, then it lowered its snout and sniffed the contract. Paper on the altar, black fire ignited across the page. The name hidden beneath the surface slowly appeared, Isolde. Everyone saw it dot. Sharp breaths rose all around me. Isolde's face turned white. She whipped her head toward our father. Alaric had frozen to it. Must not have expected the black dragon to burn the hidden name into the open. The black dragon took one slow, deliberate step toward Isolde, its claws clicking sharp on the stone altar. At last, panic broke through her composure. No, it wasn't me. She backed away, her voice shaking. I didn't have to. She did. Seraphina had to. She's the one who had you on the line. We just stood and watched this entire floor close. Isolde screamed, sharp and shrill, her composure gone entirely. That isn't what I meant. You tricked me. You lured me into saying it. You said the gold dragon was yours, and everyone believed you. No one tricked you then. You said the black dragon was yours, and everyone believed that too. You reached for it loudly. You pulled it with your left hand. I stopped just out of the dragon's reach, looking down at her cringing figure. Dear sister, haven't you always loved stealing my dragons? This one is yours now. Keep it. The black dragon lunged without warning, a low snarl rumbling in its chest. The guards beside Isolde drew their swords with a sharp clang, but the dragon swept them aside with one flick of its tail, sending men and steel crashing into the stone steps. It did not kill her at once. It was toying with her, the way a cat toys with a mouse before the kill. It pinned her wrist beneath its claws, and black fire crawled up her skin. Isolde screamed. The golden contract marks on the back of her hand burned away inch by inch. It was not ordinary fire. It did not char her flesh. It burned the stolen contract out of her. She sobbed and shrieked toward Alaric, her body twisting uselessly beneath the dragon's claw. At last, Alaric could no longer stand still and watch. He stormed down from the throne platform.
Stop it! Seraphina! Make it stop this instant!
Why should I? Isn't it Isolde's dragon? Shouldn't her own dragon obey her? His face went stuttered. The black dragon continued pressing in on Isolde. Black fire had already climbed her throat.
Her carefully arranged hair had fallen loose. Her pearl crown dropped to the ground and shattered beneath her own foot. She no longer looked like a noble princess. She looked like a fraud finally being exposed.
Father, tell them! Say it out loud! Or it will burn me alive! I don't want to die!
Every eye in the square turned to the king. Curiosity, doubt, judgment, all of it landed on him at once. I walked toward him.
Tell them what, Father?
Alaric stared at me, hatred and fear roaring in his eyes, his hands clenched at his sides. I lowered my voice.
Father, don't you love Isolde most? Saving her is simple. Tell everyone why every dragon I hatched, every drop of blood I gave, all ended up recognizing her as their master.
His lips trembled. Seraphina, must you destroy the royal family? Must you humiliate us in front of every subject? I smiled.
Didn't you already do that? The day you altered the contract, the day you threw your own daughters into the dragon pit, you destroyed the royal family's honor yourself.
The black dragon growled again, and Isolde screamed toward from the square. Finally, Alaric closed his eyes. It was me. I changed the name on the contract. Wind swept across the altar, scattering the ashes of the burned contract into the air like black snow. Swallow any royal dragon egg and be hatched. The magical contract must be signed. When the dragon breaks from its shell, it recognizes the name on the contract as its master. I ordered the royal mages to use the double ink on Seraphina's contract. On the surface, Seraphina's contract bore her own name. But the name that truly took effect is Isolde. gasps erupted from the crowd. Isolde was crying so hard she could barely breathe, but she still shook her head wildly.
No! No, it wasn't me! Father did it! I didn't know anything! I knew nothing! You knew nothing?
I crouched down in front of her.
3 whole months. Every midnight, you snuck into my incubation chamber and dapped my egg with your blood. You knew nothing then either?
Her eyes went wide. She had never told anyone about those midnight visits.
Before the hatching ceremony, you brushed dragon repellent sap on my fingertips, so the gold dragon bite me. You knew nothing about that either?
Of course, no one else in this life understood those words. But Isolde did. The fear on her face deepened, turning to something close to terror.
You knew every time. Every time. You planned every step. You just thought you'd never get caught.
You also knew that if you cried, Father would always stand on your side.
Isolde tried to answer, but the black dragon's claws pressed into her shoulder, and she could not form a single complete sentence.
I stood and turned to the nobles.
Do you still think I am a thief?
No one answered. Those who had been so eager to insult me lowered their heads one by one.
The hidden name has been burned into the open.
The king has confessed with his own mouth.
The gold dragon, the black dragon, and every dragon Isolde ever claimed as hers were hatched by me.
Some stepped back, others dropped their eyes, unable to meet my gaze. At last, they understood that the princess they had worshipped was not chosen by dragons. She was a fraud propped up by her father's cheating, and they had all been her willing audience. An elderly noble fell to his knees, his whole body trembling.
Princess Serafina, we were deceived. We did not know the truth. Forgive us.
I looked at him. No,
You were not deceived. You chose the more convenient lie.
because that lie did not require them to oppose the king. Because that lie let them stomp a disgraced princess into the mud. Because Isolde cried beautifully, and I refused to lower my head. They were not blind. They had simply decided the truth did not matter. Alaric suddenly spoke.
Serafina, this was my crime. How did you must? Isolde is innocent.
I turned to him. Even now, he was still protecting her.
Innocent? She just claimed the black dragon egg in front of the entire kingdom. Did you force her to do that too?
Alaric had no answer. Isolde finally broke.
I was wrong, sister. I was wrong, I swear.
She tried to crawl toward my skirt, but the black dragon pinned her to the ground.
I was just scared. I was afraid that once you inherited the throne, we would have nothing. I only wanted a better life.
You wanted a better life, so I deserved to die.
You stole my dragons. You stole my throne. You stole my reputation. You let everyone call me a thief. You let Father throw me into the dragon pit.
She stared at me in horror, as if looking at someone who should not remember those things. I did not explain. I lifted my hand. The black dragon raised its head to look at me, its cold eyes softening for the first time. Enough. The black dragon released Isolde. She collapsed on the ground, trembling all over. The golden markings on her hand were gone. Only scorched black traces remained. She had lost every claim the stolen contracts had given her. From that moment on, no dragon in Valdoria would ever recognize her as its master again. It rained softly on the day my father was deposed. After the hidden contract was exposed, the council had no choice but to strip Alaric of the crown before the entire court. I did not kill him. Death would have been delight. I had his crown removed and replaced with a crude iron circlet. It had no jewels, no gold designs, only cold weight. When the guards lifted the old crown away, Alaric reached for it by instinct.
Former King Alaric, lower your hand.
The title struck harder than a slap. For the first time in his life, no one called him Your Majesty. He was imprisoned in the deepest dungeon beneath the throne room. There was a narrow window there, facing the great hall. He could not see the throne, but he could hear every word spoken above him. From then on, whenever the nobles swore loyalty to me, he heard it. Whenever the people shouted "Long live the Queen," that sound would drift down through the stone and into his cell. The daughter he had despised, the one he'd thrown away like trash, sat on his throne. The daughter he'd loved most, the one he'd given everything to, had lost everything and been cast out of the palace in disgrace. That was the punishment I chose for him.
Serafina, you cannot do this. I am still your father.
You cannot lock your own father in a dungeon.
I stood outside the iron bars, looking at the iron circlet pressing into his graying hair.
You only remembered you were my father. After you lost your crown.
The kingdom needs me. You're young. You don't know how to rule. You'll tear it apart.
No. And it will thrive without you.
The guards closed the iron door. The sound echoed out of the throne room. Alaric stood behind the bars, staring upward as the first voice from the great hall rang down.
Long live Queen Serafina!
Then another, then 100, then 1,000, until the whole palace rang with it. His face twisted with rage and grief and humiliation. He couldn't cover his ears. From that day on, he would have to listen to it every single day until the day he died. As for Isolde, I did not let her die either. After the black dragon burned away the stolen contract, she was too weak to stand on her own. Half her hair had been scorched by black fire. The contract mark on her hand would never return. Nobles no longer called her princess. Maids no longer lowered their eyes when she passed. I stripped her of her title and sent her to the lowest level of the dragon pit. It was no longer a place of quick execution. Now it housed the lesser drakes kept by the royal family, filled with sharp-toothed things that ate scraps and charred bone. Every day, she had to muck out the pens, carry baskets of charred bones, and scrub rust and filth off the iron bars until her hands bled. Chains circled her wrists, shackles clipped her ankles. Isolde would slam her fists against the bars, her voice hoarse and screaming. Isolde.
Take these chains off me! I am Princess Isolde! You cannot do this to me!
Guard.
There is no princess Isolette in Valdoria anymore. There is only a prisoner doing hard labor.
Noble girls who had once clung to their skirts, flattering her every word, would come to the pit edge on fine days and look down at her through the bars. Noble girl 1. Is that the former Princess Isolde? The one who used to call us common and unworthy? Noble girl 2. She looks like any other servant now. Hard to believe she almost wore the crown. Noble girl 3. I heard she never hatched a single dragon egg herself. Every bit of it was stolen from the queen. Whenever she heard those words, she would throw herself at the bars like a wild animal, spitting and screaming. Isolde.
Liar! All of you are liars! I was chosen by the dragons! I was the rightful future queen!
But no one was afraid of her now. She had lost my father's protection. She had lost her title. She had lost everyone's trust. The cruelest part of all was the black dragon. Sometimes it would circle high above the pit, whenever its shadow fell over her. Isolde would scramble into the darkest corner, curling into a ball and covering her head. Because she knew that she had once claimed that dragon as her own. She had stolen every dragon. I raised the last one became the nightmare she would live with for the rest of her life. On the night before my coronation, Martha carried the gold egg from the old tower to me. She told me that when Isolde's gold egg began to crack, mine had gone dim, as if every bit of life had been drained from it, but it had not died. After the black dragon burned away the false contract, it warmed again. Little by little, the power that had been diverted returned to it. The gold veins on the shell glowed once more, like a late sunrise. Martha, your majesty, I waited for you. I touched the shell with my fingertips. Seraphina. I knew to wait. On the day I was found, the blood had already been washed from the square body. The gold dragon from my old tower finally hatched. It was small, its scales bright, its eyes clear. Now that the contract had been corrected, it walked to me at last and rested its head gently against my palm. The entire square knelt. Proud. I looked down at the warm gold dragon in my hand, then lifted my gaze toward the highest tower. The black dragon perched there, silent. One symbolized the throne, the glory, the hope of the kingdom. One symbolized the price. The truth, the cost of every lie. Valdoria would no longer be ruled by lies. That same day, I abolished every clause in the old contracts that allowed a king to alter them in secret. From then on, every dragon egg contract had to be signed in the presence of the council, noble witnesses, and representatives of the people. No one would ever again use double ink to steal the name. I also opened the royal vaults and ordered every sleeping dragon egg to be registered again. Dragons would no longer be tools for a father to favor one daughter over another. They belonged to the ones who truly awakened them. The first public dragon egg registration under the new law was held in the same square where Isolde had once lied. This time, there was no hidden ink. The contract table stood in the open. 3 counselors to noble witnesses and 5 representatives of the people watched, every name written down. A baker's son stepped forward with shaking hands.
Your Majesty, may someone like me really try?
I looked at the small copper-colored egg resting before him, an egg once deemed unworthy of royal blood, left to gather dust in the vaults. If you are willing to give it your blood, your warmth and your patience, then you may try. Dragons do not care about birth. They care about who wakes them. The boy lifted his head, his eyes bright. He took a small knife, cut his fingertip, and signed his name clearly on the contract. The crowd murmured, not in fear this time, but wonder. At that moment, a pair of guards led Isolde through the edge of the square, on their way to deliver ash from the dragon pens. She was bent under the weight of a heavy basket, chains clinking with every step. She stopped when she saw the boy at the contract table.
A baker's child? You let a baker's child touch a dragon egg?
People turned to look at her. People turned to look at her. A laugh broke out first, and another, then more.
Better a baker's child with his own name on the contract than a princess who stole every name she ever had.
Isolde lunged toward the table, chains dragging across the stones.
Dragons belong to royal blood!
The copper egg trembled, a tiny crack appeared in the shell. The boy gasped, his hand flying to his mouth. The gold dragon beside me lowered its head, calm and watchful. The black dragon's shadow slid across the square from the high tower. Isolde froze under that shadow. I stepped between her and the table. The guard pulled Isolde back toward the pit. No. Dragons belong to the ones who truly awaken them. She screamed and struggled until her voice cracked, but no one looked at her anymore. Behind her, the small copper dragon pushed its way out of the shell and crawled unsteadily toward the baker's son, nuzzling his hand. The crowd burst into cheers for a child Isolde would once have stepped over without glance. That sound hurt more than chains. The first winter of my reign was harsh. Not all the nobles King Alaric had left behind accepted me. Some swore loyalty to my face while secretly trying to support distant relatives for the throne. I did not rush to kill them. I let them expose themselves. One duke tried to bribe a witness during a public dragon egg registration to have his son's name secretly added. The witness's testimony read, allowing him to swear. Then I stripped him of all of his lands in front of his own family and his own people.
Your Majesty, this is only a misunderstanding. A servant acted without my knowledge.
Then let this misunderstanding be clear to everyone. From today on, your lands return to the crown, and your house will never again hold a dragon contract. One bishop declared from his pulpit that a woman could not rule Valdoria, that my reign was against the old gods. The ledgers of bribes he had taken were nailed to the doors of his own cathedral.
This is an insult to the temple!
No. Taking gold from villages where children froze to death was the insult. Then there were those who tried to smuggle Isolde out of the dragon pit, thinking they could raise a banner in her name. I did not execute them. I sentenced them to serve 3 months in the dragon pit themselves, doing the same work she did. When the 3 months ended, the man who planned the escape knelt before me, thin and shaking.
Your Majesty, I beg forgiveness. 1 week in that pit is worse than a year in exile. I will never do anything so foolish again.
Then remember where you tried to send your loyalty. I was not merciful, but I had not destroyed the laws of my own kingdom for selfish love the way my father had. A year later, Valdoria was stable again. The gold dragon had grown enough to carry me over the mountain. When the people looked up and saw it, they took off their hats and laughed. Children chased its shadow on the streets, shouting my name.
Queen Seraphina! The gold dragon is coming!
For the first time, their voices did not sound like judgment. They sounded like the kingdom learning my truth. Sometimes, I visited Alarep in the dungeon. He aged quickly in that dark cell. The Iron Crown bent his neck. The king, who once sat above everyone, now had only a damp stone bed and the sound of cheering from above.
Seraphina,
He called once through the bars.
can you truly never forgive me? I am your father.
I looked at him. There was regret in his eyes, yes, but there was resentment too, and pride, and the bitter taste of having lost. I knew then that he did not regret hurting me. He regretted losing. No. His hands tightened on the bars. His voice shook.
I am your father. I gave you life.
You had many chances to remember that. Before the contract was altered. Before I was thrown to the dregs. Before you chose her over and over and over again. I turned and left. Isolde asked me whether I ever felt lonely. Your Majesty, do you ever wish there was someone who could stand beside you without bowing, without calling you Majesty? Just someone who knew you before the throne? I thought about it for a long time, staring out the window at the Black Dragon's tower. After taking the throne, I was surrounded by ministers, guards, and people who bowed to me, but there were very few people I could truly lower my guard around. Still, that loneliness was far better than kneeling at someone else's feet and begging for fairness. I'd rather stand alone on the throne and return to the girl who needed someone else's approval to exist. Martha lowered her head, her eyes red. Your Majesty, the Queen would have been crowned. Over the years, dragons slowly returned to Valdoria. Not every egg hatched. Not everyone who tried succeeded. But at least, the new laws gave everyone a real chance. Isolde remained alive, deep in the dragon pit. She was no longer beautiful, no longer proud. Years of labor in the dragon pit roughened her hands and bent her back. Sometimes the new servants didn't recognize her, and even asked whether she had once been a servant herself. She would fly into a rage and scream that she had been a princess.
I'm a princess! I'm a Valdoria's future queen! You dare speak to me like that!
Then everyone would laugh.
A princess? In the dragon pit?
What princess lives in dragon-filled down here? What she could not bear was not the hard work. It was that no one believed in her nobility. The identity she had valued most had become the biggest joke of all. As for the Black Dragon, it never belonged to anyone. It still lived on the highest black tower of the palace. Sometimes it landed outside my window and watched me with those cold eyes. I knew it was not obedience. It was not affection either. It simply remembered that I had let it hatch. That was enough. Years after my coronation, one of Isolde's former flatterers came to the dragon pit at midnight. The woman had once knelt beside Isolde's skirts, praising her beauty, her purity, and her so-called destiny. Now she wore a dark cloak and carried a hidden key stolen from a drug guard. Old noblewoman.
Isolde, be quiet and come with me.
Isolde lifted her head from beside the filthy stone trough. For one impossible second, light returned to her eyes. Isolde.
I knew it. I knew someone still remembered who I am.
Old noblewoman.
There are still people who hate the new queen. If we get you outside the city, they can use your name.
Isolde grabbed the bars with both hands. Isolde.
Use my name. No.
They will kneel to me.
I am the true princess.
A lesser drake raised its head and yawned. The guards appeared from both ends of the passage, swords drawn. Guard.
Step away from the prisoner.
The noblewoman dropped the key. It rang against the stone floor. I walked down the stairs behind the guards, my cloak untouched by the rain. Isolde's face changed from joy to horror. Seraphina. Still trying to steal something that isn't yours. Isolde.
You set this up. You knew she would come.
No. I let greed what I wanted. The old noblewoman collapsed to her knees. Old noblewoman.
Your Majesty, mercy. I only thought the old bloodline.
Seraphina. The old bloodline nearly destroyed Valdoria with forged contracts and stolen dragons. I ordered the woman stripped of her remaining title and assigned to the dragon pit for 1 year. Then I looked at Isolde. Seraphina. Your courage. Your chains will be moved to the lower planes. Isolde. The lower planes housed the smallest drakes, but they were the weakest. They sacked ankles, sat sarks, and never slept quietly. As the guards dragged her down the steps, Isolde finally screamed her opportunity to cry. I did not answer. It's too late to awaken to family ties. The next morning, Alaric heard the news before I went to him. The dungeon carried sound strangely. Cheers from the throne room drifted down. So did screams from the passages leading to the dragon pit. Alaric gripped the bars.
That voice. Isolde.
The god did not answer. When I entered, Alaric's eyes were bloodshot.
What have you done to her?
What she earned.
She is weak. She was never meant for filth and chains.
I looked at the man who had once thrown me into the dragon pit without blinking. Neither was I. For once, he had no answer. I ordered the guards to open the small passage window that faced the lower plains through the iron grate. Alaric saw Isolde in the mud, wrists chained above her head while a young drake snapped sparks near her feet. Her white dresses were long gone. Her hands were cracked. Her hair was uneven.
Father, tell them to stop.
Alaric staggered back as if the sight had struck him.
Seraphina, please. Whatever I did, she should not suffer for it.
You still don't understand. I stepped closer to the bars. She did not suffer for your crime. She suffers for her own.
She was young.
She was old enough to hold my dragon and call me a thief. The words landed between us like a blade. Above us, the morning council began.
Open Queen Seraphina!
The sound poured into the dungeon. It also poured into the passage where Isolde was to me. For the first time, father and daughter heard the same truth from opposite cages. They had lost the kingdom they stole. Many years later, a historian asked whether I regretted hatching the Black Dragon.
Your Majesty, the Black Dragon changed the fate of Valdoria. Did you never fear that it would destroy more than lies?
No, without the Black Dragon, I might still be explaining my innocence to people who had never wanted to hear the truth. Now they did not need to believe me. They only needed to remember that day. Remember that Isolde had claimed the Black Dragon egg as hers with her own mouth. Remember that Alaric had confessed with his own mouth that he had changed the contract. Remember how the princess they called a thief and a failure shattered the lie beneath her feet and took the throne. I I was not born a queen. I was made one by betrayal, death, and rebirth, so what? Valdoria did not need a girl spoiled by her father's love. It needed someone who could see a lie clearly and dare to burn it down with her own hands. And I, Seraphina, did exactly that. Martha stood by the window, watching the gold dragon circle over the capital. Your Majesty, the people are gathering again. I looked down from the tower. Children were running through the streets beneath the dragon's shadow. Merchants paused their stalls. Soldiers lowered their spears in salute. No one shouted thief, no one shouted failure. They shouted queen. Far below the palace, Alaric could still hear them from his dungeon. Deeper still, Isolde could hear them from the dragon pit. That was the final justice. They would live long enough to hear. The name they tried to erase became the name the kingdom trusted most. The black dragon opened its wings on the highest tower. The gold dragon lowered its head beside me. I placed my hand on the window ledge and looked over Valdoria. Let the record show this clearly. A stolen crown can be returned. A stolen name can be burned clean. But a queen who has died once will never kneel again.